Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining in to our Lunch and Learn about outsourcing. I am adding in our speakers right now, so give me a couple of seconds here and we will get them added. Okay. So we have Sara. Hello, Sara.
Hi, I got the email that
Okay.
the other two should be joining.
Yes, we are live right now, so.
Okay, great.
A little bit of technical difficulties, but we got to figure it out. Growing pains, right? The first one. Okay. Let me send them this. Oh, there we go. Okay. So while we're waiting on the others, I'll kind of go ahead and just do a quick introduction for everyone. I'm Hannah Vanderveer, the director of the Knoxville Chamber of Commerce, and we do a monthly lunch and learn for our members that is over various topics, not technical information to your trade, but just business information that we think you can benefit from. So we have Amanda that's hopped on here now. We are live, Amanda, so we're just waiting on Dave. Once we get Dave on here, we'll do some panel introductions.
You might have to send the call to Dave again. I had to search my inbox to get the new link. It was kind of strange.
Oh, okay. I sent out an email, but I'll send out another one.
Yeah, try it again.
Technology, gotta love it, right?
I know. It's never easy.
Okay. So I guess while we're waiting on Dave, Sara and Amanda, if you kind of want to give a little update on, introduce yourself, give a little spiel about what you do. Sara, if you want to go ahead and start, that would be great.
Okay, my name is Sara Roberts, and I live in Knoxville, Iowa, with my family. I have 3 kids, and about 10 years ago, I started my virtual assistant business, and I have been doing that here locally, and I also have clients nationally as well. My background is in business. I worked prior to being at home and doing this virtually. I worked in corporate America, like I like to call it, for about 15 years. So my background is assist high-level executives and now small business owners. I'm a member of the Knoxville Chamber of Commerce board as the board secretary, and I have been on the board for almost 2 years now. And I volunteer in other parts of the town. I'm sure that you've seen me around if you live here in Knoxville, helping with other youth-related activities and sitting on other boards as well.
Awesome. Amanda, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure, thank you. I'm Amanda Penisten, and I started my accounting business late last year. It's called AMP Accounting Services, LLC. I also have worked in the corporate world for quite a while. I actually still work at John Deere currently as I build up my client base here on the side. I live in Urbandale. I have 2 little boys. I'm married. Before I worked at John Deere, I was also a CPA in public practice doing taxes and audits. I have a wide range of accounting experience and skills. I target farms and small businesses as far as my target market, just because we're surrounded by agriculture and I know quite a bit about it, but I can certainly help any small business with getting their accounting set up.
Great. So, Sara, do you want to give a little bit of background of what is the type of work that you will do for a client?
In my capacity as a virtual assistant, a lot of times they are looking for just general administration work, which would include, nowadays it's a lot of inbox management, calendar management. I do a lot of document coordination. I work with a real estate office and I do their transaction coordination. I do a lot of project management for clients. That includes like website design and maintenance, help set up just simple business systems. Usually when I come into my client's world, they're at kind of that beginning stages at times where they don't even really know how to set up an email address or a phone system virtually. So oftentimes I'm helping them just set up like basic business systems and learning how to maneuver that in like a cloud-based world. I've done travel arrangements. I've done a lot of personal bill paying. I have a wide range of like general administrative services that I offer. But most of my clients just need, just that administrative support, but not a full-time staff member.
Right. So now we have Dave up. Yay.
Hey.
Dave's all here. Thanks for joining us. So we were just going through some introductions, Dave. So if you just want to introduce yourself and give a little bit of background about what you do.
Sure, thank you. I'm really a marketing communications guy. That's what I've done pretty much my whole life. Started off on the client side for about 7 years and then joined an agency, became president of that agency for probably 20-some years, and then sold that agency to another and started a little company called Marketing Cafe, in which I am allowed to serve people that I really like a lot. So that's kind of what I'm doing these days.
Awesome. Great. Well, basically for you businesses that'll be watching this or watching this live, I hear from a lot of you, especially with 1 to 2 full-time staff, that it's overwhelming. There's a lot to do. You're having a hard time just staying on top of things. So we wanted to provide some resources for you to understand that there is options for you to get outside help. You don't have to do this all alone. Maybe you don't know where to start in the process, but this is a good place to do so. So it can be absolutely terrifying and overwhelming to look for outside help, but we want you to be able to let some stuff go eventually, because that'll just help you grow as a result. So hence the reason for this Lunch and Learn. So we're going to jump into some questions with our panels. If you're joining live, there is a group chat that you can submit questions to. If you're not tuning in live, always feel free to give us a call here at the Chamber. You can email me, director@knoxvilleiachamber.com, and I can direct you from there. So without further ado, we'll start into some questions. So for the panel, many people associate outsourcing with large businesses. Smaller businesses don't necessarily think it's meant for them. So in your own words and experience, why should smaller businesses consider outsourcing some of their work? Don't all jump in at once. No.
I can start.
Go for it. Amanda, I think you jumped in.
I can start. Honestly, this sounds kind of brash, but I think you have to outsource. If you're a small business owner, you're only one person. You can't do it all. There's only 24 hours in the day, and 8 of those, I hope you're at least getting some sleep. So, you're the expert in your business. You should be building your business and, building the widgets and gaining clients and things like that. I know accounting, Sara knows admin, Dave knows marketing. Let us do that. It's far cheaper than hiring an employee, and we're the expert in those areas. So it's one less thing for you to worry about.
I would agree with that. And, to build on what Amanda said, that's for most of my clients, they don't need a full or even a part-time admin person. If you're talking about a couple hours daily, when you get into the expense of payroll taxes, employee expenses, office space, desk space, that sort of thing, it gets to be a huge undertaking for a small business owner and a lot to bite off right away. So that's where our different services, really work well with a smaller business, because you don't have to be chained to a salaried employee.
I think that the outsourcing really has nothing to do with the size of a company. It actually has to do with what's the smartest thing for you.
Right.
And I'm actually an advocate of doing as much stuff as you can in-house. Don't hire somebody outside, pay that if you don't have to. That said, I'm a small business owner, and I hire people outside all the time for certain needs. In fact, I'm a marketing guy, and I'm really good at it. I teach it. I mean, I've hired outside help to take a look at that, a second set of eyes, to make sure that I'm doing what should be done. And I can guarantee you, if I need somebody to do that, you need somebody to do that.
Right. So almost like a gut check per se.
Yeah,
for sure.
So for a lot of people in small businesses, they're wearing not even 2 or 3 hats, but like 15 to 20 hats. It can work for a while, but as business continues to grow, that's when it gets overwhelming and stressful. So how do you know when it's time to seek help?
Well, don't wait till you're extremely burned out. But yeah, I mean, it's all about time management. You need to see your family, you need to see your friends, you need time for yourself. If you're finding those things impossible to accommodate, then that would be the natural next step, I think.
I would tend to agree. Oftentimes in my world, or when my clients come to me, it's oftentimes hard for them to identify that spot, or because they think of it in terms of dollars as well, and they don't often allow themselves the opportunity of those expenses. But I tell them, when they're coming to me, their inbox is overflowing, their communication is lacking, they're not growing their business. And if you're saying to yourself, I don't have time for something, and you're continuing to say that, and it's critical to growing your business, then you definitely need outside assistance.
Yeah, my thinking is, if you're overwhelmed, the first thing to do is to take a look at your process, because a lot of times, as a small business owner, we want to take ownership of everything, and so we get a process that kind of isn't as smart as it could be. So I always say, take a look at the process. If the process is good, it's probably time to hire somebody if you're overwhelmed. You always want to hire somebody outside for the professional things that make sense to you. And also, think about this. A lot of people, I do a lot of work for people who are really good at what they do, and they make money at what they do. But I can help them make more money by doing what I do, and helping in that way as well. So.
Yeah. I think one thing that I want to make sure that we point out, that if you are feeling overwhelmed and you can't even answer customer emails, or you're having trouble with that customer service, I think that's a big sign. If you cannot directly help your clients, then you're not exactly doing your job. So that's something to think about. But like we talked about, for a lot of small business owners, they put their heart and soul into their business, and it's really a direct reflection of themselves. So it can be really, really hard to give up some of that control. So how do you recommend being on the same page as a person that you're contracting with?
My big thing I'm sorry, Amanda. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Nope. No, go ahead.
I see this a lot because a lot of times, again, people are very unsure about what they're needing when they come to me. So my big thing is know that area where you are identifying that the help is needed, and over communicate with that person. You can't assume that that person knows everything about you or your business. You know, there has to be a very open line of communication between that person and yourself, and to make sure that that is going to be the right fit for you. I mean, the first person that you call is not always the right fit. But they only know general information. So you have to make sure that you are giving them all the tools that are needed to make sure that they are able to assist you in what you're needing help with.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. It's about communication. It's about trust. It's about relationships. I mean, this is somebody, yeah, it's a professional relationship, but you know, you got to get to know each other and how you work together, and it's got to work. And you know if you trust someone or if you can work with them or not. But that communication and building that relationship first, that's what you have to do.
Yeah, this is actually, I mean, it's a great question, and it's actually a lot easier to answer than what it sounds. I mean, you just talk to them. You just talk to them, and you know pretty soon whether or not they're thinking the way that you think. If they are, then maybe it works. If they're not, then move on and find somebody else. Pretty simple, really.
Yeah, so I guess not to make a simple answer very complicated, but is there any type of documentation that you find useful? So especially from a marketing side, Dave, if a business has a brand guide or they have a mission, vision, values, if they don't have that, they probably need to get that in place ASAP, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, they have to have some direction, and you're a marketing person, so you get this stuff.
Yeah.
And with smaller businesses, I don't get as formal as what I do with larger ones because they just don't have the money or the time to goof around with that. It's really a lot of that stuff is developed in order to prove that the marketing person is doing their job. Okay, so what I tend to do with smaller businesses is just get right to it, and yeah, you need to know what your brand is. That's the starting place. What's your position in the with other folks and all that kind of stuff. But you got to have the basics down. I actually recommend that for a lot of my people, I got outsourced people myself that I can get artists and the right people involved. But you know where people use me the smartest is when they'll do their own thing, and then maybe once a quarter, once a year, once a month, we get together and kind of take a look and say, where are we at? Are we on the right track? Because when you're a small business owner, you're so busy that you don't have time to really take a look at that.
Right. So this kind of goes directly into the next question I wanted to ask. So finding the right fit is key. Do you have any questions that you recommend that a business would ask prospective contractors? Or did I stump you?
We were waiting for Amanda.
I'm trying to think. You know, I guess, you know, references are important and things like that, especially for somebody like me who's potentially going to be handling money and, you know, that kind of relationship. So, you know, you definitely want to check references and get to know the person as a person, and you'll know whether the person is trustworthy or not. And just, you know, their experience and what have they done and what are some challenges they've overcome. You need to get to know them as a person. So however you would do that.
I would agree with that as well. Again, in my industry, you know, oftentimes I am privy to a lot of very personal and sensitive information. So, you know, trust is my number one key and priority to those folks. And no, I don't know that the questions are so much as, you know, knowing the background and that their experience is relative to the things that you need. You know, in my world and, you know, in both worlds, you know, I can say I'm a virtual assistant, but what is my, you know, what do I specialize in and what do I do? There's such a wide range of experience that you could hire somebody that says they can do these things, but they don't necessarily have any experience in those. So I would I recommend to do your legwork on the back end of checking references, asking a lot of questions. It is a job interview. At the end of the day, it is much like a job interview. And this person is taking care of your baby, your business. So you just have to make sure that you've done your homework and checked into those background questions and experience things.
Yeah, I'm thinking that it is essentially an interview. What I've had in my industry is that a lot of times clients will want to do pitches, so they'll want different groups or agencies come in and do an entire pitch, and that's really an expensive thing, because like in my world, you try to make it look like you didn't spend any time, you're just natural and all this stuff, which takes a ton of time, and so it's very expensive, and so I always have taken the position that I'll pitch for a client, but I won't pitch for a job, because you just can't ever make that money up. So I basically do this, especially as a small business. I would ask this question: do you do at-will work, or do you require a contract? And what are your rates? And then the thing is try them on something. And if you don't like it, don't hire them again. And it just saves everybody a lot of time. And but first of all, make sure that that they kind of think like you do, and then that would be my approach. You're not really locked in if it's at will. It's just a one-shot deal, just like you're hiring somebody to do anything else.
Right. And Dave, you kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but when you hire help, that in turn frees you up to make more money in the end. So a big reason a lot of small businesses seem to be hesitant to outsource is the cost associated with it. They feel like they can't afford it, or they just think they can save money doing it themselves. So what advice would you give when it comes to spending money on outsourcing? I know we talked about it can be cheaper than a salary. Do you have any helpful tips to further give our businesses?
Do you want me to start that?
Sure.
Okay. There's no question that outsourcing is expensive. Okay. I mean, I can say that as somebody that gets hired to do stuff all the time. At the same time, I run a business, and it is expensive to hire somebody outside. So you kind of got to do the math on it to say, does this make sense? First of all, if you don't have the money, you just can't do it. Okay. It doesn't matter how good it is, how smart it is. If you don't have the money, you just can't do it. But you probably do have the money to do something. And that's a good place to experiment and see if it has a payoff for you, because that's the name of the game. It's not, there's two reasons to hire somebody outside. One is that you've got a special project you need help with, a temporary thing, setting up a trade show, whatever. The second thing is you can get a level of expertise that you probably don't have in a specific area. And actually, the people like us, the true freelancers, we don't have a bunch of other expenses we have to cover. So we can give you a higher level of expertise at a lower price, and we can also customize and do just basics for you. So that's kind of where I'm coming from on that. I don't like spending money outside, but I like making people money, and people like it when I do that for them. So it's worth checking out sometime. And here's the other thing. I've been doing this long enough. I don't care. So I'll tell you if I'm the wrong guy, and I'll hook you up with the right guy. And I like small business people a lot, because they're trying something that other people don't have the guts to do. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, at this point, I guess I would also say, he made a comment earlier about like an at-will project or a contracted project. I think that makes a big difference when you're talking about outsourcing too, and I do have that a lot. In my world, I see a wide range of pricing and retainers and that sort of thing. And I've always told I'm not afraid either to refer somebody on if it's something I can't do. But what I always caution my clients against is to look for the big, don't look at the big, flashy, expensive packages thinking that that's going to be your best bang for your buck, because oftentimes it's an expensive retainer and you don't get a lot of bang at the end of it. I would caution you as a small business owner to move away from those things. And if you're very hesitant and have very limited sources, to, start out small, like Dave said, a small project here and there, and see if it works out for you. But there's no sense in locking yourself in for 6 months into a relationship that's not going to benefit you or your business.
Yeah, that's actually how I got started with a couple of my clients, was just some kind of mini projects, if you will. I mean, it's what better way to get to know each other too, and to establish that relationship, and, can I get this done in a timely manner and to their satisfaction? And that can lead to, more business. So it's a great way to start.
Right. So we've touched on this a little bit, but say you've hired someone, you've been outsourcing a task or a project for a little while now. How do you know if it's working? What do you do to quantify the success for your clients?
I guess,
Well,
did we deliver on the promise? Just to make sure those things are laid out clearly when you get started, then it's pretty easy to understand if it was completed.
Same for me. Mine would be successful project completion. If they keep coming back, if they keep asking for new things, I do have packages where I have monthly hours where you can, buy a certain amount of hours. And if my clients are utilizing the hours that they've purchased, or, starting to utilize more, then then that gives me a good indicator that that relationship is working, and it's working for them as well. If they're seeing the value and the benefit of handing off tasks to their assistant, then, and it's increasing each and every month, then I would say that that's a successful relationship.
Yeah, my client retention record's about 7 times the industry average. So I really don't do anything to try to justify to the clients that what I'm doing is any good, other than the work itself. If the work isn't working, then it's probably time to talk about that. I really like when a client is straight up with me and I know exactly where I stand. And the other thing that I want to encourage folks, and this isn't part of the question, but I do want to encourage folks to do this. The way that it works as professionals outside is we're there to help you. I mean, we're there to make you look good. And we will give you, at least I will give, when I'm talking to someone, I will give them the best that I can give them and push them as far as I can push them. And I find that some people are great with that and let you do a good job. Other people just want to be in control. And there's no sense of hiring somebody outside and then saying, I'm not going to listen to them. So I do encourage that. And because the problem with that is, at the end of the day, I'm a prostitute. I'll make you smile and I'll take your money, So I mean, I learned that a long time ago in the advertising agency business. That's what you do. I don't do that so much anymore. I pretty much tell folks, and especially small business folks, I'll just tell you straight up, here's where we're at, and let it go at that.
So in your each of your focus areas, is there any resources that you would recommend to a business owner if they're just starting the process to look for some help, just maybe some publications that would give advice on accounting or admin or marketing? Where are the places that you would recommend they go or they start?
Getting referrals from other business owners, I guess, or your friends that are business owners. I mean, word of mouth is huge, in the world that we live in, obviously. Yeah, certainly chambers of commerce are always good. But honestly, we're also connected 24/7. I think it's, word of mouth is huge.
I use LinkedIn quite a bit. There's a lot of connections out there, and in your LinkedIn networks is a great place I've had a lot of referrals from LinkedIn, quite frankly, from people just viewing my profile, in addition to reading some of the testimonials or just asking people that I'm connected with that may be clients of mine. There are, groups on Facebook that talk about admin services in the virtual sense. But I would definitely start with a LinkedIn or, again, word of mouth, like Amanda said. I think that we're finding now more than ever that this is that these services are more prevalent. So I think that you would find reaching out to your immediate network, you would get a lot of resources available to you.
Yeah, and understand that all three of our worlds are very different. So we're each speaking kind of from our world. And mine, I know, is different in this area because everything is created from, everything's unique. And so I know a lot of people out there. Art is huge in marketing and communications. It's, we all learn to write, but actually drawing stuff is better, and I can't draw. But I know a lot of people that can. And it depends upon a specific situation as to who is right for them. So if I'm talking to someone, I might get somebody different for each one of them, or even different projects within, to get just the right person doing the right job. So in my case, there is no real answer other than, I'll help you do that for free. And if it's, give me a call. And if it's going to take a long time and I got to charge you something, I'll let you know ahead. You say no. So I would definitely talk to folks.
I think you all bring up a really good point of just starting the conversation. So you might not have any idea of where to turn, but just bringing it up with people you see on a daily basis, or coming to us here at the chamber and saying, I'm struggling with this, I have no idea where to start. Likely somebody will be able to give you some sort of lead to point you in that direction. So never be able to admit if you need help with something, because everyone needs help with probably the same thing.
Absolutely.
So really the last thing I wanted to end on, if any of you are willing to share maybe some projects, obviously not get into the nitty gritty, but just overarching projects that you've worked on that might give people a good idea of, wow, I can actually hire somebody to do that. I don't know if you have specific instances of, smaller projects that you've taken on that have led to big things, or somebody had this specific problem and you were able to help them. Like I said, not getting too into the weeds, but just some overarching idea for people.
Yeah, I have a great example. For one of my first clients, we just did a really small project on establishing KPIs, which are key performance metrics. So obviously I'm the numbers gal, so that's really easy for me to put together and explain and synthesize for the client. KPIs are pretty key when you're trying to manage a small business. You need to select 4 or 5 things that you need to be doing well, and here you either are or you aren't. And being your accountant, I can help you figure out where you stand in your business, and then we can go from there.
It's a really good example. We're actually working on that from a chamber standpoint, right, Sara?
We are. For me personally, I mean, again, I do a lot of general work, but I did have a client that is currently a client of mine still, that a long time ago asked me to build a website for him. And it started out as a simple website, and it has now grown into a food safety training business where I'm assisting him with his director of training role and helping him set up classes. And it's grown to this over the last 5 years. And I don't even think at the time when he wanted the website set up that he realized that this is what it was going to grow into. So like I said, I still have that client, and my role has changed with him over the years, but it started out as a simple website.
I've done a lot of stuff for, a lot of people in Iowa and further. So if I probably have been involved in about everything that's doable, and then I teach this stuff. So interestingly enough, I don't like Marketing Cafe. I don't really do social media for Marketing Cafe, yet I do social media for clients. But what I'm really good at is I'm kind of like an overview guy, and I know people, I know what should be done, and I know how it should be done. I don't necessarily know how to run the programs as well as other people, so I let other people run the programs to accomplish that. But the smartest thing is I've got a client here in town who we get together once a month, and he's got a pretty nice staff, 20 folks or so. And one of those does okay at marketing stuff and executing things, but certainly not at my level. So what these meetings do is it lets me take a look and make sure they're going in the right direction. Is it the right brand? Are they doing the right things? it's so easy to get off track when you're a small business. It's so easy to just have other things take you away from the core thing that's making you your money. And so these meetings are an opportunity to stop and take a look and examine that stuff and have a really high level expertise involved in it. That I think is, for everything I've done my entire life, I think that individual is probably the smartest use of my time that there is. I can execute stuff if they need stuff executed as well, and I can bring in resources from anywhere that we need in order to do about anything related to marketing communications. Finances, not me. That's
okay.
So that was really the last question that I had. Any last bits of advice before we close out today?
I would say, yeah, reach out. I mean, even just a phone call, it doesn't lock you into anything. Maybe you have some questions. Maybe you're thinking about this. You know, we're all really nice people. We are here to help you. Don't be scared. Just ask. Just reach out. We would love to hear from you. If it doesn't work, no harm, no foul. Maybe we'll just be friends.
Yeah, phone call's free. Phone calls
Exactly.
free.
Yeah.
I would agree with that too. Yeah, definitely reach out. And like I said, I think all three of us have said that we're not afraid to point you in the right direction if our services aren't the right fit for you. You know, that's one of the big things that I really enjoy about my line of work is being able to match people up with other people who can help them. So I'm not afraid to point you in a direction, even if it doesn't land on my doorstep. So talk to your people.
So if people want to be able to find you, how can they do so? Sara, do you want to start?
I will. I am on the web at adminenvy.com. I am on Facebook at adminenvy Sara, Sara, no H. And you can also find me on LinkedIn as well, under Sara Roberts.
Same here. Oh, sorry.
No, Amanda, you go for it. You go.
Yep, I have a website. It's kind of long. It's ampaccountingservices.com. Also, I have a Facebook page by the same name. I am also on LinkedIn.
My email address is dave@marketing-cafe.com. That's also my website, marketing-cafe.com. And if you guys aren't going to remember any of that stuff, just call Hannah and ask her.
Yeah, there you go. You can always call the Knoxville Chamber of Commerce and we will help you with those things. So thank you guys for tuning in with us today. This is great information that I'm excited that we will have in our archives for the future, that I can point people to this video when they're struggling, and hopefully this will give them a little beacon of hope and point them in the right direction. So a couple last minute chamber things. If you are tuning in live with us, we are doing, we're starting a coffee group at the chamber. We had a lot of small businesses say they just want an outlet to meet with people who are going through similar things as they are, just to talk about stuff. So our first one will be in April 18th at the Coffee Connection here in town from 8:30 to 10. You can just come and go as you please. Also on that day, we're doing a regional women's mentoring program with Newton and Grinnell. So this will be a chance to network with women from Knoxville, Grinnell, and Newton. We'll have some panels with different business professionals from each of the communities, and it will just give you an opportunity to understand also that you're not alone in some of the situations that you're in, and a time to network and learn from each other. All those details can be found on our website, knoxvilleiachamber.com, or you can always call us 641-828-7555. So with that, we will let you continue with the rest of your day. Again, thank you to our panelists. Have a great rest of your day. And like I said, if you need us, you know where to find us.
Thanks,
Thanks, Hannah.
Thank you, guys.